The 7:30 starts make the review go up late, and there's a 7:30 start tomorrow, and then the trick tomorrow is I then have to do the preview after the review. So Friday night, Saturday. We're about 6 weeks from the end of the season, and the schedule maker's making sure, hey, we're going to keep Shannon up late and get him out of bed early, because that's what he wants, especially around the trade deadline, which is fine. Best job I've ever had. Seriously, I'm not going to complain. So first up, Toronto. Now, if you have, here's my thinking over the last few weeks. If you have complained that Freddie Anderson sucks, Freddie Anderson's no good, and you're a Leaf fan, you can't take a victory lap today. This is something that was kind of a rule to me when it came to Luongo, when I would hear people talking in Vancouver, Luongo sucks. And then when he would have a great game, and they would approach me at work the next day going, man, Luongo's great last night, I would say, no, he sucks, remember? So that's the thing. When an opinion is like, oh, I'm all right, yeah, so that bandwagon, can you let me back on? Now, Freddie had a good night. Now, Toronto had a better night. And the first thing was I put, take a shot every time Leafs effort is said. And it's sad. It's sad these guys are making so much money. The top guys are making so much money. And we're talking so much about work ethic and effort and working in the corners. But this is why I think the team has kind of been created in a manner that just favors skill over, some grit and some effort. Grit doesn't just mean penalty minutes and fighting either. Grit means digging along the boards and that effort you want to see every single night. Some players have it. Some players don't. Tonight, the Leafs had it. Good early chances for the Leafs. Around the halfway mark, the shots were 5-5. And they talked about Freddie Anderson. And his save percentage since returning from injury was .835 coming into tonight. So, yes, his save percentage has been low. The defense in front of him has been poor. And there's a lot of reasons to look at Toronto and think, oh, well, yeah. But guess what? Tonight, they're in a playoff spot. Murray stopped Kerfoot in close. The Penguins got a power play. Malgin took the penalty there. So right away I thought, if Pittsburgh scores on a Malgin penalty, but they didn't. And that was the only power play they had in the entire game. Anderson then stopped Letang before that period was over. So it's scoreless after one. But you can already tell, even though Pittsburgh's ahead in shots, Toronto's playing very well. Second period, kind of a quiet start until Jake Muzzin scores from Holland Tavares at 7:45. Malkin very nearly answers, doesn't, and then at 10 minutes and 1 second on a 5-on-3, Nylander gets a goal from Tavares and Matthews. So at 10:01, after a couple of penalties are taken by Pittsburgh, Toronto takes advantage of that. And then 3 minutes later, it's Kapanen scoring from Kerfoot and Muzzin at 13:04. So Muzzin with a goal and an assist to that point. And I wrote on the board, apocalypse averted with a question mark. All day today on Sportsnet, it was doom and gloom about the Leafs. It was just constant. And I thought, but they're still tied for a playoff spot. They're not, it's not like they're sitting at 48 points and they're dying. They're still in a good spot if they can turn things around. Because it's not like Florida's been storming towards that playoff spot either. Kapanen then had a fight with McCann, which was odd. Sort of like Kapanen wanted to go with Hornqvist, and of course Hornqvist's like, nah. McCann's like, you want it? And he goes, yeah, all right. And then they had a fight. And the funny thing was, a linesman had McCann, and then he goes, man, like this. And it looked like he put his hand in his pocket, like, whatever, I don't care. And then after they threw a few punches, he jumps back in, like, all right, that's enough. You got it? All right. So, third period, and it's a 3-0 lead for the Leafs. They've shown some spunk tonight, and Kapanen with a goal and a fight. And the first thought I had was, the Leafs need a full 60. They can't sit back in the third period, and they didn't. This might have been the best third period anybody's had against Pittsburgh all season. Tavares was tied up before he got one. However, at 3 minutes and 56 seconds, it's Hyman with his 19th of the season from Marner and Muzzin. So Muzzin has 3 points. He had a great game. Jake Muzzin, who's come out and said all the right things over the last couple of days about how things need to be better and there's no excuses. And now he not only is the guy who says it off the ice, but he proves it on the ice. That's important, and this is why Jake Muzzin is going to be staying with the Toronto Maple Leafs past this season. This is why they sat down and negotiated a deal with him. Barry may very well end up leaving. They can't afford to keep him, but Muzzin, he'll be sticking around. There was a power play for the Leafs. Zucker had a one-timer that went wide, but the overall storyline out of that third period was Pittsburgh not getting shots, and Toronto did. And Toronto wins this one 4-0. That's Anderson's 18th career shutout. He saves all 24 shots he faced. Murray saved 26 out of 30. I'm not going to put it on Murray. They got shut out. 3 stars are Anderson, Muzzin, and Tavares. Shots in the first, 14-10 for Pittsburgh, 10-8 Toronto in the second, and 10-2 Toronto in the third. Shots 30-24 in favor of the Leafs. The power play goes 1 for 3 for Toronto. Pittsburgh goes 0 for 1. Does this affect my power rankings board? A little bit. I would want to see it more than just one game, but pretty good game for Toronto tonight. Really, in all honesty, that was fantastic. Moving along, San Jose and New Jersey, because these teams have to play each other. It's on the schedule, and I have to talk about it. Evenly played first 5 minutes. Blackwood then denied Meyer. However, Tim Heed scores his first goal in a long time. Middleton gets the assist. True gets the other assist. So that's just a scoring combination I guarantee has never been seen in the NHL before. Heed from Middleton and True. There was then a large... And during that goal, there were, I think, 5 guys between the guy who shot the puck, Tim Heed, and the goaltender. So there's no way Blackwood saw that. No chance. Middleton then had a fight with Hayden, as everybody's going for a Gordie Howe hat trick tonight. Nobody got it, but he tried. Extra 2 minutes to Middleton because he took off his helmet. I believe he did that before the fight. Can't do that as considered unsportsmanlike. I know. The old days, it was you drop the gloves, you take off the helmet. That way a guy's not going to break his fingers, his knuckles hitting your helmet instead of your head. But the gentlemanly way of fighting is gone. It's considered unsportsmanlike now, which is weird. The Sharks were hemmed in the final minute. And with 13 seconds left, the Devils get a power play out of that pressure. Second period, Devils get another power play. And this is where it's worthy of note. Jones had a good game tonight. And this is back-to-back good games for Martin Jones. So that's important. If they're going to move Dell, Jones is at least showing he's better than he was. Blackwood was the one keeping it close. And then at 16-15, Jesper Bratt, like the guy. He scores from Zaka and Gusev at 16-15 to tie it up. Third period, there was an early power play for the Devils. And who gets the goal? PK Subban with his 7th of the year from Gusev at 2:56. So Gusev with 2 helpers tonight. And Subban with the power play goal, only his 2nd of the season. And you could tell he was really stoked to get that. It's clearly been weighing on him that he's had a bad season in New Jersey. And he seems to be taking some weight on with this. And it looked like that was a really important goal for him. Blackwood looked like was stealing the game because he was. The Devils had a power play late to ice it. Sharks pull the goalie. It doesn't matter. There wasn't enough time left when they pulled the goalie, and it didn't matter. Jones makes 23 saves on 25 shots in the 2-1 loss. Blackwood saves 36 out of 37. He's your first star. Subban's the second star, and Gusev's the third star. Shots favored San Jose in every period. 12-7 in the first, 14-10 in the second, 11-8 in the third. Final shots 37-25 in favor of San Jose. The Sharks go 0 for 3 on the power play. New Jersey, 1 for 6. So the New Jersey Devils win the game between two teams that aren't making the playoffs. And, Blackwood with another really good game. So Mackenzie Blackwood, who's got some pretty darn good stats, puts up some good numbers tonight as well. Next up, all right, this is where it's Bizarro World, but, you can kind of call it, can't you? If I told Montreal fans, like 4 days ago, all right, so they're going to lose to Detroit, and then they're going to beat Washington, Montreal fans would likely say, that's the most Montreal thing this team could do. And it's games like this and results like this that make me wonder if maybe Claude Julien sticks around after this season, because, again, it doesn't feel like there's any appetite for a coaching change in Montreal when it comes to management. Now, strong start for the Habs. That is undone by Ovechkin scoring his 699th of his career from Backstrom at 729. And that was against the flow of the play. Absolutely against the flow of the play. Then Kovalchuk takes a shot from center that kind of fooled Holtby. Holtby kind of tried to play it with his blocker, and it looked like from the angle that you're looking at it on TV that he almost knocked it into his own net. So it could have been a bad one. But for people keeping track of what Kovalchuk does, he did not get on the scoreboard tonight. So Kovalchuk, another game without a point for him today. The building was buzzing every time Ovechkin touched the puck in that first period. They wanted goal 700, likely paid good money for those tickets to see goal 700, but Shea Weber would score from Danault at 17:43 to tie it up. Second period, the Habs get a power play. Great road game by Montreal to this point. The Caps with a lot of turnovers, and they kept talking about how it looks like in this play they're trying to force it to Ovechkin. It looks like in this play, and it's a thing. They're definitely trying to force it to Ovechkin rather than take shots in some circumstances. But Lars Eller would score from Hagelin and Panik at 17:03. So that puts the Capitals in the lead due to one misplay by Montreal in a game where the Capitals had been outplayed. Price stopped Karlsson, and it felt like there was a momentum shift going on, but at 18:37, Gallagher scores. Now, the last time I looked, it was listed as unassisted. I think Tatar's going to end up getting a point out of it. If he hasn't, then I guess he doesn't. But it went off of Tatar, and it looked like he directed it towards Gallagher. So to me, Tatar deserved a helper on that. I don't know if they actually gave it to him. But Gallagher with the goal, important goal. Byron then almost got one, and then Price denied Vrana before the period was over. So very exciting last couple of minutes of that period, and Montreal escapes with a 2-2 tie. Third period, 30 seconds in. It's Sherratt scoring from Tatar. So Tatar did get a helper on that one for sure. And Ben Sherratt's having a really good offensive season for Montreal, comparatively speaking, with his normal career average. Ovechkin then just missed in the slot. So again, crowd getting excited. Price denied Vrana again in that third period. Danault then had one that he tipped just wide. So they pull the goalie with 1:46 seconds left. Washington puts on a lot of pressure. Karlsson had a really good shot that was blocked. He had kind of an empty net, but it was blocked. I think it was Petrie that blocked that one. However, at 19:39, it is Tom Wilson that gets the goal from Kuznetsov and Backstrom. So with 21 seconds left, Wilson ties the game and forces overtime. In the overtime, it's Sherratt at 58 seconds from Domi and Petrie, and Montreal quiets the crowd, who again probably paid good money for those tickets because, Ovechkin's going to do it. Not tonight. Price, 29 saves on 32 shots for him. Holtby saved 28 out of 32 at the other end. Your 3 stars, Sherratt, Wilson, and Weber. The shots were 9-7 in the first in favor of the Capitals, 17-12 in the second in favor of Montreal, 11-7 Washington in the third, and in the overtime, Montreal gets the only shot. That's the shot that matters, as the shots were 32 apiece. Both teams went 0 for 1 on the power play. Special teams, not a factor in this game. So road team won all 3 meetings. Montreal wins the season series, won both games in Washington, and the Capitals won the only game in Montreal. It's one of those weird things that happens. Next up, Philly. Philadelphia Flyers went into Columbus tonight, and this was a really good game. It was. And, early on, it looks like Columbus is gonna break this losing streak they've been on. And I still think coming out of tonight, as long as they approach it correctly, this is a good result. Just they didn't get all the points they wanted out of it, and they didn't play as well as they wanted to at the end, and it's against a divisional opponent, so that doesn't help. And for Philly, these guys are breathing down the neck now of the Capitals. They are getting closer to the Capitals and the Penguins. Penguins didn't get a point tonight either, so the Flyers are definitely in this. And it's because their road record has got better. So first period, it's Bjorkstrand from Foligno and Gavrikov at 44 seconds. The shots were 7-2 Columbus 8 minutes into this. They wouldn't stay that way. Columbus came out, though, very, very hot out of the gate. Foligno then scores from Bjorkstrand and Nudavara at 9:05. This is game number 900 for Nick Foligno. And so a goal and an assist for him. But 23 seconds later, Konechny scores from Sanheim. So really important that Philadelphia never really let this game get out of reach. They stuck around. They stayed in it. And, of course, Philadelphia is in a pretty good spot right now to make the playoffs. Power play for Columbus. The Flyers pressed with 2 minutes left. No scoring there. In the second period, however, Stefan Matteau, who just signed a contract with the Columbus Blue Jackets, he scores from Jenner and Nudavara at 3:39. And I'm thinking, Matteau has bounced around the league, mostly playing in the American League. I don't think there were very many people expecting a goal from him tonight. So he gets the goal to make it 3-1. Friedman was then shaken up on a Robinson hit, and Friedman was in there as an injury replacement to start with. So it wasn't. How about this? I don't know how borderline the hit was, but it wasn't fun to watch. Much better game for Columbus to that stage. It felt like Columbus had their confidence, they had their game, and then Philly kind of wakes up. Obe Kubel scores from Raffle and Niskanen at 14:26, and then sensing the shift in momentum, the Flyers take advantage of it. As Giroux scores from Couturier and Konechny on a power play at 15:52, and that ties up the game. There was a last-minute Columbus power play, and then there was a 5-on-3 for a minute and 27 seconds that would loom over this game as you go into the third period. You're starting with a 5-on-3. The Flyers killed off that 5-on-3 at the start of the third, and it was a big moment for Philadelphia to be able to do that. Foligno took a puck to the head. And what it did was it actually hit him it looked like it hit him in the visor and drove his visor back, and it cut his nose, so he left the game. Concussion spotter would have taken him out of there anyways. Post for Gavrikov then. Columbus pressured at around 3.5 minutes, and this is right around where Foligno returns with a brand new visor on his helmet. So Foligno was okay and would stay in the game. Elvis then denied JVR. Elliott poke checked Bjorkstrand on a break, so nice play by Brian Elliott there. And then Elvis denied JVR again before the game was over. So we go into overtime. In the overtime, this is the 20th overtime game for Columbus, who came into today with 12 overtime loss points. That's overtime and shootouts. And, of course, they tied Boston with that. Boston now has to catch them. So, Elvis denied Voracek. Elliott stopped Gerby, and then he enjoyed that so much he stopped him a second time. And then Hayes would score at 3:51 to give the overtime win to Philadelphia, 4-3. So for Columbus, they do get a point. I don't really believe in moral victories in a situation like this where you're at home against a divisional opponent, but they played well. Elliott, 28 saves on 31 shots. Merzlikins, 29 saves on 33 shots as his stats continue to trend downward from that amazing run he had been on. Your 3 stars are Hayes, Foligno, and Konechny. And I think with Elvis, I think it's just he's a good goaltender. He's not the next Hasek or anything, and I think his stats were just too good for him to be able to maintain. Power plays 1-for-1 for Philly, 0-for-3 for Columbus. Your 3 stars are Hayes, Foligno, and Konechny. The shots were 8-7 in the first in favor of Columbus, 10-9 Columbus in the second, 13-10 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers in the third, and in the overtime, 4-3 for Philadelphia. Very exciting overtime. Final shots, 33-31 in favor of the Flyers. So they got off to a slow start, but once the Flyers got things going, they were a pretty good team. They're full value for the victory. And it's too bad that Columbus's losing streak has continued, but they did get the point. And right now, as we speak, the Islanders are the team that's below the playoff line, which is weird. That being said, I need to change boards. You know, off the start of the Ottawa game at home against Winnipeg, I thought, I should have put the Akbar Magnet there. Because my God, did Winnipeg come out slow. Like, it was a really good start for the Senators, so I don't want to take anything away from the Senators, but I thought, for a team in Winnipeg that's looking at tonight as a chance to perhaps get into a playoff spot, they should play with more urgency. There was a post for Batherson. I thought the Jets needed to wake up at that point. Zaitsev then hit the same post. They would also hit the other post as well. But Paul would hit the net. He gets a goal. That's his 8th of the year from Colin White at 11 minutes and 50 seconds, so it's 1-0 Ottawa. And the Jets were being outworked by the Senators. They were being outplayed. The Jets then get a power play, and that's the kryptonite tonight for the Ottawa Senators. It's Scheifele scoring from Connor and Laine at 16:35. That's his first goal in 13 games. He went 12 games without a goal. He gets one tonight. The Jets then went right back on the power play, and it's Scheifele again, power play goal from Pionk and Laine at 17:46. So it's Scheifele 2, Senators 1. Batherson then had a fight with Harkins, and they showed how Batherson was trying to pick a fight with Ehlers right off the start of the game. So Batherson trying to stir things up for some reason. There was a late Senators power play. They don't score on that. So second period, we start with the Jets up 2-1. Brossoit was really sharp early, and I thought Laurent Brossoit, who's had poor stats this year, had probably his best game of the season. Connor would then score from Kopp at 4:52, and yeah, so that was pretty much it. There wasn't really a whole lot of pushback after that. Appleton then got shaken up on a play. There was a scrum that followed that. And at 5:54, so that happened in the minute and 2 seconds in between goals. Ehlers scores from Wheeler and Scheifele at 5:54. So Scheifele with 2 goals and an assist to that point in the game. The Senators would get a power play. They didn't score on it because their power play sucks. It's not the worst in the league. That's Chicago. So I've got to remember when I'm talking about Chicago games, their power play really sucks. Third period, Sens get an early power play, but great, you guys filled it in for me. The shots were 4-1 for the Senators at 6 minutes, but again, they're down 4-1. So you don't really get a feeling that there's any danger of this thing falling apart for the Jets. The Jets then got a power play. They didn't score on that one. They got another one late. They would score on that one. Who gets it? Scheifele. Power play goal by Scheifele from Morrissey and Shaw at 18:27. That's a hat trick or a toque trick. I know. In the States, they call them beanies. Beanie to me is that thing that you wear that's got the propeller on top. To me, that's a beanie. So, toque. I think toque's a better word. And so, T-O-Q-U-E. Toque. There was a guy throwing a toque on the ice, and I thought, it's not a toque trick. It's a hat trick. Why are you making it a toque trick? Why does that have to be a thing? So I appreciated the gesture. I'm sure Scheifele did too, but it's a hat trick. This is a hat. That was a toque, and it's different. Brossoit makes 29 saves on 30 shots for the win. Hey, you guys get commentary from me you're not going to get on TSN or Sportsnet or anywhere else. Nobody else can be talking about a toque trick. Hogberg, 29 saves on 34 shots. I thought he was fine. The Senators are just, they're playing out the string. They did have a nice video package, too, for Dylan DeMello, who just got traded by the Senators. So this being his game back as a Winnipeg Jet, they gave him a nice video package there. 3 stars were, of course, Scheifele, Connor, Laine. The 3 guys you don't want getting on the board if you're playing Winnipeg. Power play. Tonight it was a good power play for Winnipeg. 3 for 6. It's been up and down. Reminds me of Vancouver that way. Some nights it's lethal. Other nights it's lost. Tonight it was lethal. The Senators 0 for 4 on their power play. So not a great night on special teams for Ottawa. Shots 12-11 in the first in favor of Winnipeg. 12-11 for Ottawa in the second. 11-7 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots 34-30. And yeah, pretty solid road game for a Winnipeg Jets team that all they had to do to get into a playoff spot was to see Arizona lose. And Arizona tonight, they have problems scoring goals. It's a problem that I've talked about all season with Arizona and with the Islanders, which was these guys are doing well, but they rely too much on their goaltending and their defense, and they need to score more goals. And I would get pushback from Islander and Coyotes fans, so I tried not to talk about it too much after that, but it's always been in the back of my mind. And now we're seeing, I think the most alarming thing about this game, if you're a Coyotes fan, is just the lack of pushback. So first period, the Blues get a power play. The shots were 5-1 for the Blues at 6 minutes, which will happen if you have a power play. The Coyotes would get a power play before the end of that period, but really pretty evenly played period. The shots are close, and the chances are pretty close. Both Ronta and Binnington looked sharp. Second period, early pressure by the Blues, which would be kind of continuous. The Coyotes were being outplayed. Ronta was holding everything. And Ronta stopped Kyrou. There was a Blues goal that was scored, but it was offside. So when the Coyotes challenged it, challenge accepted and correct. So no penalty. The Blues stayed on the power play, which is where that goal was scored for another minute and 22 seconds. That didn't go in. There was no goal scored on that power play. The shots, 31 minutes into this game, so just past the halfway mark of the second period, were 24-9 in favor of the Blues. And as bad as that is, it got worse. They had less than 9 shots in the second half of this game. Man. Third period, the Blues are 6-5-2 when tied after 2 periods. That record would get a little bit better tonight. Scandella had a steal from Hall. Taylor Hall had a really nice chance, and Scandella took it from him. So Scandella endeared himself to St. Louis fans in his debut tonight. The Blues pushed it around 3 minutes. Ronta stopped Pietrangelo. I have no idea how he did it. Great save. The momentum was all for the Blues. Ronta was nearing 40 saves with 10 minutes left in the game. He was completely under siege. It is shot number 43 that finally solves Ronta, and it's one of those goals where they just keep pushing it at the net. Finally, O'Reilly gets it. That's his 11th from Shannon Parayko at 12 minutes. So with 8 minutes left, they finally score. So this is where, as a Coyotes fan, you're thinking, all right, now they got to answer. They didn't. Now, part of this is that the Blues were playing really, really well defensively. Clearly, over the last 2 games, there's been a team commitment and a buy-in on the defensive side of the puck, and that can't be overstated. It has been really, really fantastic to watch as these guys start playing like the Stanley Cup champions from last year. Ronta robbed Shen. He was up to 44 saves at that point. They pull the goalie with a minute and a half left. They don't really generate shots during that time. Ronta would save 45 out of 46. His save percentage tonight was .978, and he lost. Yeah. Yep. 8th shutout in the career of Jordan Binnington. This is back-to-back shutouts for him. He only saved 14 shots. So, really, he wasn't tested that much, especially after the first period. O'Reilly, Ronta, and Parayko are your 3 stars. I could argue Ronta should have been star number 1. I heard Darren Pang say he was star number 1, so I know Panger didn't pick these 3 stars. The shots were 9-8 in the first in favor of the Blues, 19-4 for the Blues in the second, and 18-2 for the Blues in the third. For a team that was fighting for its playoff life tonight, realizing they have to win their games, the teams behind them have played less than they have. They only managed 14 shots the entire game, and they allowed 46. Power plays, both teams were 0 for 3. So it was a pretty rough night if you're a Coyotes fan, and the Winnipeg Jets have now jumped past them and have games in hand. Nashville also right on the heels of Arizona with games in hand. This is slipping away from the Coyotes. And for the Blues, conversely for the Blues, this is great news for them. They now go into a game tomorrow night against Dallas. If they can go in and play this way against Dallas, they can beat Dallas. And if they do that, they start pulling away at the top of the division again. So they may have just let themselves get pulled in, and then they may just pull right up ahead again. All right, next up, Vegas. They did it. Yes, Vegas Golden Knights, they did it. The winning streak is over for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Vegas started very, very well in this game. But Vasilevsky was the story early. That would not continue to be the case throughout this game, however. Shattenkirk would score from Killorn and Palat at 7:02. But it didn't discourage Vegas. They didn't get off their game at all. They pushed at the halfway mark. The Bolts get a power play. Fleury made some really key stops during that to keep it at 1-0. And then he's rewarded. Alec Martinez in his first game. He scores from Eakin and Raw at 18:05. So that ties up the game. Alec Martinez would have 2 points tonight. He joins James Neal. The other 2 were Brandon Peary. I know who the third was. It slips my mind right now. I know they mentioned Brandon Peary. And it was just as players who've scored 2 points in their first game as a Vegas Golden Knights. So, Bolts get an early power play in the second period. Stastny had a shorthanded break that was stopped, but not for long. Stastny would score his 250th of his career from Smith and Schmidt at 6:45. If I don't say of his career, people are going to go on the season. And then, all the history books just burn. So, yeah, Stastny made it 2-1. Vegas then got a power play. Vasilevsky denied Theodore. There was a power play then for Vegas. And the momentum was all in favor of Vegas. But after killing off a penalty, the Bolts then get a power play and they score on it. Stamkos with the power play marker from Hedman and Cirelli at 15:38. It's a tie game. Here we go. Tampa's... Nope. Stone scores from Pacioretty and Martinez at 16:38. So, nope. I think Stastny's the other one that had 2 points in his first game as a Vegas Golden Knight. Anyways, Stone gets his 21st of the year. That ties it up exactly 1 minute, or puts them back in the lead 1 minute exactly after Tampa tied it up. So, third period. All right, they're down by 1, but it's Tampa. They can come back. Nope. Ryan Reeves, 10 seconds. 10. Then Tampa takes a penalty. So, on the power play, it's Pacioretty scoring from Stone and Theodore at 47 seconds. They score twice in 37 seconds. They make it 5-2, and I put on the board streak will end at 11. There was no way Tampa was scoring 3 goals in the third period against Vegas. There was a power play for the Golden Knights that didn't work out. Then Tampa gets a power play on a delay of game call. Stamkos would score from Kucherov and Hedman at 18 minutes. And yeah, they pulled the goalie and they made the effort, but in the end, Vegas shut things down pretty well in that third period, and Tampa Bay's winning streak is over. Vasilevsky made 28 saves on 33 shots. It's the first time they've allowed 4 or more goals in a while for Tampa. Fleury saved 24 out of 27. Martinez with a goal and an assist. He's the first star. Stone and Pacioretty are second and third stars. Here's the interesting thing. Here's the kicker. Tampa Bay's power play was 2 for 4 tonight. During their entire 11-game winning streak, not an entity. Tonight, 2 for 4. It's weird, right? Vegas 1 for 4 on their power play. The shots favored Tampa in the first 12-11, 13-9 for Vegas in the second, 9-6 Vegas in the third. Final shots 33-27, and Vegas right now, they are first in the Pacific. So the standings that have been pretty static for a while have started moving around as teams sense, hey, we can actually get that spot. So we'll see how things go from here. Vegas now has kind of some control here. That being said, Edmonton does play tomorrow, so if Edmonton wins that game, we could see a fight between Edmonton and Vegas for first in the division. I could think of worse fates. Next up, there's Canuck fans yelling at me right now. Florida in against LA. Now I'm not going to say it. So Florida's in against LA tonight. Florida knowing already that Toronto has won. And they came out tonight and they didn't play very well. This is not a Florida team that looks like they really want that third spot. And this is why I find it funny when Toronto fans are thinking, oh, we're not going to make it. I'm pretty sure Florida fans don't think they're going to make it either. And a result like this tonight isn't going to help. But tonight, I smiled and I cheered a little bit. I can't think of the last time I cheered when the Kings scored a goal. I'm being serious. The last time I was proud of them back in 2012 when they won their first Stanley Cup. I thought that was really nice. I may have applauded when they won that cup. I didn't cheer. But I thought, good for them. Good for an underdog to win a Stanley Cup. Tonight, at 1 minute and 26 seconds, Gabriel Vilardi gets a goal from McDermott. His first NHL shift and a bit of an iffy goal. Can be honest, there was a deflection, bit of an iffy goal, but it's his first goal. When the draft was conducted in 2017 and I did a live stream, I really wanted the Canucks to draft Vilardi. Now, they drafted Elias Pettersson, who, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a pretty good player. So, a lot of people made a big deal out of how I thought Vilardi would have been a really good pick. And tonight's his debut in the NHL, so I've read a lot online about how he's a bust and, he's no good, he's never going to be anything, and I'm like, he hasn't played in over a year because of a back injury. So he's been rehabbing that, and it was a very slow process, and there was some concern last year that he may never play hockey, ever, at any level. Again, he gets a goal a minute and 26 seconds into this, and I cheered pretty loud. I was really happy to see that. The Panthers got their first shot at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but Barkov would score from Huberdeau at 7:03. Barkov can make something out of nothing every time, and so can Huberdeau. They are magic together. The Kings tried to answer. Instead, it's Barkov at 8:43 from Huberdeau and Achari. Noel Achari with an assist. It's bizarro world, right? So it's 2-1 for the Panthers, and I thought, well, I've seen this storyline all year with the Kings, and they've already sold players off. Probably not going to go their way. The Panthers get a power play. They don't score on it. The Kings get a power play, which is the storyline of this game. This game had a lot of power plays. Doughty would score on that one from Kempe and Kopitar at 15 minutes and 12 seconds. So that tied it up. There was a scrum at 15:59. The Kings end up with a power play, and Bobrovsky denied Doughty his second goal of the game. But Drew Doughty had a very good game. So second period, there was a 25-second 5-on-3 for the Panthers. They don't score on that, and it was a really penalty-filled game. And then Huberdeau would score a power play goal during the 5-on-4 from Dadonov and Ekblad at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Sorella, who had a goal, his first NHL goal in their last game, he got close tonight. He hit a crossbar. The Kings then got their fourth power play of the game, which wouldn't score. But guess who gets a goal? Trevor Moore. Now, if you're a fan of the LA Kings, every time Moore scores, you're supposed to say, thank you, Toronto. That's what you do. Moore gets a goal from Doughty and Lizotte at 10 minutes and 18 seconds, so that's the second point of the game for Doughty. And then the guy without a vowel gets a goal with about a minute and 18 left. It's Ferk from Vilardi and Roy. Vilardi with a goal and an assist. I saw that and I'm like, holy crap. Gabriel Vilardi gets a goal and an assist in his first NHL game. That's fantastic. There was a last-minute Panthers power play, which didn't score then, but in the third period, it would score. So Hoffman gets the power play goal from Huberdeau and Ekblad at 36 seconds. So it's tied at 4. Again, the Kings in full sell mode. They know what they are. I didn't think Quick had a particularly great game. And I thought, all right, well, Florida should be able to win this. It's going to be ugly, but Florida should stay tied with Toronto and maintain their spot as third in the division technically, and Toronto just behind them in percentage points. However, Hutton scores from Iafallo and Kopitar at 12 minutes and 45 seconds. And of course, people know I'm a fan of Ben Hutton's from when he was in Vancouver, and I want to see him do well, and this is his 4th goal of the year. So it's bizarro world where I'm kind of happy to see the Kings scoring goals, which is weird, and that makes it 5-4. And then they mentioned Vilardi on faceoffs. He was over 80% at this point in the game. 13-3 on faceoffs. Vilardi coming into the NHL and scoring a goal and an assist is great. But a rookie, a kid, being 13-3 on faceoffs, I don't care who it's against, that's insane. So Vilardi endeared himself to Kings fans pretty strongly. And not only that, but I noticed that McClellan was putting him out there a lot late in the game, protecting the lead. McClellan likes this kid a lot. He'll get demoted to Ontario tomorrow. I apologize. There was a post for Uyghur with 3 minutes left. They would pull the goalie with 1:25 left. They called the timeout with 30.7 seconds left, but they really didn't generate any major opportunities. They really didn't. LA shut them down in the last couple of minutes of the game. Bobrovsky saves 35 out of 40 in the loss. At least 2 of those goals probably shouldn't have been goals. Quick, 25 saves on 29 shots. I'm going to say at least one of those was a bit leaky. Both goaltenders, not their greatest game. Your 3 stars. Vilardi's star number 1. I didn't vote. I didn't have any say in it. Huberdeau's number 2 and Doughty's number 3. Power plays 2 for 4 for Florida. 1 for 5 for the Kings. Shots 13-10 LA in the first. 17-8 LA in the second. 17-8 LA. 11-10 in the third in favor of Florida. Final shots 40-29 in favor of the home team. So there you go. Pretty fun night of hockey. And some enjoyable moments that I couldn't have anticipated when I did the preview this morning. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. And Kings fans, you got to look at the future tonight. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the idea of Ferk coming back next year, Vilardi getting a spot right out of camp next year, and just how many other prospects might be coming up and joining them? The Kings could be a fun young team to watch next year. How do you feel about that? Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.